good morning. Happy Friday. We've made it through another week to Friday again, and it's really important to take a moment to recognise that 10 days into this new situation, this, well, not so new anymore, but this situation where we as adults are at home with children who would normally be at school. Important to remember that. If you're new to watching today, I've been here for 10 days, rambling on a bit with some ideas about how we as adults who are at home with children because they're not at school can get through. How we can negotiate this new landscape. I've offered a few thoughts on what might make that a little bit easier, on how we can come to terms with this new reality, on how we can manage some of the feelings that come up around what's going on just now, and how we can perhaps understand some of the things that we're going through. So again, just to recap, the new situation is because we are at home, because of the coronavirus, because we're keeping our families and ourselves safe, because home is the best place to be based on all the public health, all the medical advice. And you know, it's important to remember that. It's important to remember that we suddenly haven't retrained to become teachers. Some of us were teachers already, but if you're a parent, that your job has not been to become a teacher. It's been to get through the days with your children and to try and structure maybe some activities with them that have helped them to learn or to be distracted or to manage their own feelings at a time like this. So congratulations, amazing. Last night we clapped for the NHS. I would like to clap. I'm not going to do it because if my children do see this, they'll go, "Mum, that was just embarrassing." But there is a round of applause in here for you and what you've done, because it is amazing, and you are amazing for having done what you've done for 10 days and got through. And I'm sure there will have been times when it's been difficult. I'm sure that perfect parenting that you wanted to demonstrate has been severely challenged. And in all seriousness, it's probably been really hard at times. And I hope you've been able to find people to talk to take 10 minutes to just go, I'm shutting the door and I'm getting my own headspace, because that's important. Because if we go right back to the start, I read you something that suggested that one really important thing we can do just now is to be calm role models, to model calm, regulated behaviour to our children. And that's probably been the toughest part. And sometimes we probably haven't managed it. And that's okay. It's okay as long as afterwards you are maybe able to take a breath, to go back, to say, oh, I got that a bit wrong there. I'm sorry. I'm going to try not to do that again. And because we make mistakes and we move on. So, Friday, fantastic. Thank Crunchy. There are other brands of chocolate available. So absolutely brilliant. So in Scotland, some of us, and I think in England, are now going into a holiday. So a different type of living again. Some people, I'm really sorry and I apologise, have been on holiday in Scotland for a week. So if you're already halfway through this, perhaps you could make a video and that will help us to know how you've got through it. But for most of us, I think we're breaking up today for the holidays. So for those of you who have had regular, maybe daily contact with the school, they maybe have been sending work home, they might not do that next week. In fact, I would imagine they probably won't. So you may have less in the way of things coming in for your children to do. And some of you might be breathing a huge sigh of relief about that and thinking, oh, I don't have to negotiate that Google Classroom anymore, or I don't have to try and make that thing with my child that the school's asked me to make. And that might be a relief, and that's okay as well. But I mentioned last Friday, it might be a bit of a difficult time because you're acknowledging maybe things that you'd planned that you're not going to be doing. So perhaps you're not going on a holiday abroad. Perhaps you're not going to see Grandma and Granddad. Perhaps you're not going to Center Parcs. And that's okay, and it's okay to just feel a bit of disappointment and then to move on. And the way we can move on is by thinking, okay, what could I do instead? And just a few ideas, a bit crazy probably because they're from me. I was thinking, what have we got? What can we use? So how could I go to France? Well, first of all, I could start by having a family viewing of Mr. Bean's Holiday, because I just adore that film. I used to use it when I was teaching French, not because it's got much French in it, I think it's got about 3 words, but because it takes you to France. The culture of Paris, of the vineyards in the south, of the hot sun beating down, of the beach at the end. That film to me, I watch it and I'm in France. It also takes you to London at the beginning, so if you're a London fan, watch Mr. Bean's Holiday. Plan a meal. That could be difficult because you might have limited things in the house, but if you've got flour and water and eggs, you could make some crepes, you could make some pancakes. So you could do something around a theme of French and eating. You could download an app called Duolingo or something similar, or just go online and learn 3 French words. I could keep going. You could watch Les Miserables. You could read Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, but it's really massive. In fact, my daughter told me I think it's actually probably equivalent of 2 books if you read the original. That would keep you going. I'm finding it hard to read at the moment, I have to confess. My concentration for reading's not great. But there's a few ideas. Day 1, go to France. Day 2, pick a different country. And use your children here because they will have ideas about this. If you've got teenagers, maybe suggest it to them. They'll probably tell you to get lost in their own vernacular, but eventually they might be able to come up with some nice ideas. So drop it in, note under the door, help me plan a holiday. They'll probably think it's a rubbish idea. They'll probably tell you you're embarrassing, and they might not. They'll probably go back to their room and come up with some amazing idea. TikTok on the theme of France. Music, songs. Just Google songs about France. Make a soundtrack. So much you could do, and that's day 1. That's France Monday. Or you could go to France for 2 weeks. Don't overwhelm yourselves. Have the pancakes on Monday. Watch Mr. Bean's Holiday on Tuesday. Take it easy, because that's what you would do on holiday. You would take it easy. Or maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you'd have that jam-packed holiday where you have something planned. So do what's right for you. Think about your own normal holiday. Maybe it would be just lying on a beach and not doing very much. And that's absolutely fine too. How can you lie on a beach in your house next week? How can you take yourself to a place in your imagination that's like lying on a beach? Don't put too much pressure on yourselves, but it's just something to think about, because we've always got our imaginations, and we've always got a way of getting out of where we are and where we're trapped by using our imaginations. Music, poetry, books. If you're in a house where you don't have books, remember, if you're online watching this, there are people at the moment reading books online. Amazing people like J.K. Rowling and David Walliams have made their books free for people to read online. There's a whole Harry Potter new website which J.K. Rowling has put out there. So there's some amazing things for free at the moment. The other thing is TV. We are at, this afternoon, we're going to go to Galapagos with Monty Halls. I think it's Galapagos we're going to. He's going on some virtual tour. He's made it free. You can make a donation if you watch it to a charity. That's what we're doing at 4 o'clock with our family. So, let your imagination run away. Get the kids on board and try and plan that holiday anyway. whatever you do will be fine. If you're at home, if you're keeping safe, if you're keeping them safe, that will be fine. Remember to breathe. Remember it's okay, whatever you're feeling. Remember if you're worried about something, think about the things you can control. Remember the things you can't control. Put them to one side. Okay? Use this time to really focus on what's important and to remember the most important things. I've really enjoyed making these videos. They've helped me. I hope they've helped you. I'm not going to keep going with them in the holidays because I'm going to be off having my own holiday. I will be back in 2 weeks' time. It's been absolutely lovely to hear from some of you that they've been useful. If they haven't been useful, you'll have switched off. If they have been useful, please feel free to share them with other people. And take care, stay safe. Remember that you are amazing, your children are amazing. You have this amazing thing in here that will get you through this. As humans, we are born to survive, and we will survive, and we will get through this, and we will thrive. Okay? So take care, stay safe, and I'll see you after the holiday. Bon voyage!